Okay, back at the bench with Pac-Man board number 3. This is number 3 out of the lot that I bought of 3 boards. This one is a super hack. You got ROMs on top of ROMs soldered on. Look at that garbage. This thing is hacked to hell. You got these red wires hacked. Got extra ROMs. And on the back side of the board, you got red jumpers. I think this is a Miss Pac-Man hack. Eliminating the daughter card, or the the auxiliary board, I think is what this is. It's complete other than it's missing 2 RAMs. Now I pulled one of them out to use in a missile command board. So I'll go ahead and put 2 of them in there. But those are in the sound section anyway, so right now I don't really care. I don't care if I have sound right now. I want to see if any video comes up with this thing. Wouldn't that be something if I plug it in and Miss Pac-Man comes up? We'll see. Alrighty. Yeah, with this hack, I was just looking over the board a little bit. And what they've done here is they took the chip select of these 2, they soldered them on to the chip underneath so that all of the addressing and data lines are... I don't understand why they just didn't use sockets. Because what they got here is a 74 LS42, which is a selector. It's basically a ROM selector. Is selecting these ROMs. It just seems like they could have used sockets. I don't understand why they did this. I don't know. But I get what's going on here. So they would have had to mess with the code to utilize these unused lines for selecting these 2 ROMs that are soldered on top of the ROMs. Once again, I don't understand why they just didn't use these empty spaces. Interesting. Alrighty, I'm going to plug this thing in to my setup over here and let's see if this thing does anything. Okay, I got this Hackman plugged in. I'm checking the power. We're good on power. I got my logic probe ready to go. And we get nothing. Nothing on the screen. I've removed the daughter card and put in this so that I can test around, probe around. Reset is pin 26 on a Z80. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 26. And it's resetting. Okay, well, we're going to verify these ROMs. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know what these ROMs are. But what I'm going to do is I'll check the RAM regions and see if I can read the RAM, read and write to RAM. I'll put the Fluke on it, give it a shot. Well, I've just spent a little bit of time looking under my good magnifying glass here, and at this board kind of closely. The good news is I don't see any cut traces. So what I think they did with this hack is they pulled legs up. They clipped legs and pulled them up, like you can see here. I think they just pulled legs up out of the board and soldered to them. I don't see any cut traces really. I mean, I got to go over it a little bit better, of course. But I'm not seeing any board hackery, which is very good. I would hate to have to go through and hunt down every, because I know that doing this hack to put Miss Pac-Man on board without the auxiliary requires quite a bit of hacking. And a lot of times you'll see cut traces everywhere with these wires run. But at least these people did it clean, and they did it by lifting legs out. And this might be part of that. They didn't have to cut a trace going to a ROM or, you know, or whatever. Yeah, so, I mean, it's a good thing that they didn't hack the board all to hell doing this. But what I am going to do is I'm removing all of the hackery. I'm getting rid of all of it. And I'm going to start this as a Pac-Man, I think, so that I know what I'm dealing with. I mean, I get nothing on video when this thing's plugged in, which, I mean, it should have something. I should have some garbage on the screen or something. I'm getting absolutely nothing. So that tells me that there's something wrong in the video section over here. Something's not right. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I just want to I want to remove all this nonsense. You know, this is hack stuff that I just don't know anything about what these ROMs are supposed to, you know, checksums. I have no way of testing them is the problem. I can't hook my Fluke up and test these ROMs because I don't know what the signatures are supposed to be. And they've hacked the addressing. That right there is one of the inputs to that 42. So they've hacked the address, which means they've hacked the code. So I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to get this thing working, and I don't want to have to guess. I want to eliminate the guesswork, I guess is what I'm saying. These freaking hacks, man. People hack the hell out of these Pac-Man boards. ROMs on top of ROMs. Have you ever seen that? I gotta say, that's the first time I have ever seen ROMs soldered on top of ROMs. Wow. Well, I'm going to undo all this bullshit. I'm going to desolder these from the ROM. I'm going to erase them all. At least I have, and the legs are still there. I think they didn't break the legs. They just kind of bent them up out of the way. So I'll straighten those out. And at least I have some more 2532s. That's cool. But I want to remove the hackery, program some Pac-Man ROMs so that I can verify, because I want to check the chain. Is the CPU talking to everything? I want to eliminate, you know, do I have addressing bullshit or busing or, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip out all of this bullshit. I'm going to go through and look at the board close and make sure there's no cuts, trace breaks. I don't think there is. So I went through it kind of preliminarily and I didn't see anything. So let me get to that. I'm going to strip all this junk off and kind of get it back to a known state of originality. All right, I've been removing hackery. It's not too bad. I did find 2 cuts which have to deal with this LS86 on the back side. You can see right here, there's one that's, the cut is on the other side of the board, and then this one right here, come on, focus. That one was cut right there. That's all I've found really is 2 cuts. So I'm hoping that's the extent of it. And I've really kind of looked over this pretty good. So, yeah, I'm hoping that's it. But we'll find out as I progress. We'll find out if there's anything else going on. Well, I was able to remove, it's still low, ooh, it's still hot. This one was on top of this one. What I did was I stuck it, this is a joust board. I'm going to replace the ROMs sockets on this anyway, so I just used a socket. I put it in there and I held on to it with this and let it, and kind of suspended it, and I used my hot air station to go around the legs until it broke free, and then it just fell down. And I had one of the sockets in this thing and the other one was still in the board, so separated them. 2532s, I wanted to be able to save those, so I'll clean these legs up and a couple more chips. Okay, I'm here. What I'm gonna do, I got all the ROMs burnt and put into the board. I made a 2532 cheat sheet of what is what. I do not expect this to work because I wasn't getting anything, so let's fire it up. Alright, right off the bat. Well, we're getting something. I mean, that's good. It's garbage. And it's resetting, you can hear. So, what I'm going to do, since this board was all hacked up, I'm going to go over some control lines and make sure that some control lines are around. Chip 20, or pin 20, is enable. It's not even enabling. It's not doing anything. Let's check some address lines. Let's go 1. It looks like all my address lines are good. Alright, that is the third one up. 1, 2, that's data line 1. Data line 1 is causing some major freak out. Listen to my probe. Well, these data lines are goofy. Okay, there's something going on with the data path. I probed the data lines and it's killing the board. So I think I still have some hack problems on this thing. So I'm going to have to look around for more hackery. It doesn't look like anything's being... Pin 20 is chip enable. And pin 20 is... 24 is right here. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. Nothing's being accessed. Huh. Z80 starts its addressing at 0, so it should be hitting that. It should be trying to access this. Okay, so this chip was hacked. There's a floating line. I mean, that had something soldered to it, and it's floating. And I think I have a broken trace somewhere. I'm going to have to look at the schematic and see what is off of this chip right here, the 7442. What is accessing these ROMs here? There was some major hackery on this chip, so I have to re-look at it. There's got to be a broke trace, or there's got to be a cut trace. These people cut these things really stealthily, and they're hard to find. So I'm going to have to track it down. There's still some hackery on this board. I'm going to look at it, and I'll get back. Alright, I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a pretty good shot of it. I forgot. That pin is clipped. Right there. And you remember it was floating when I was probing it, so it's not connected. And that's actually one of the inputs to the 74LS42. And that determines what gets accessed. So I need to replace that 42. Okay, we have a nice new fresh 74LS42. And while I had the soldering iron out, I took time to put a couple sockets in for the RAM, the 7489 RAMs for the sound section. So we're ready to fire it back up. What do you think now that we got that in there? My guess is it's going to work. Let's throw the switch. It's not watchdogging. We're not hearing that out of the speaker. Alrighty, well, we got some trash on the screen. Let's check reset. I don't think it's resetting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is. It's watchdogging still. Let's see if this our ROM is being accessed. Pin 20. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is watchdogging. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's our CPU reset signal. So it is watchdogging. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and I'm going to put the Fluke on it. Here's that old 7442 come out of the board. Missing leg. We're going to go ahead and put the Fluke on it, and we're going to verify ROM and RAM. See what happens. Okay, it's time to do some Fluke testing. We're going to go ahead. I got the Fluke ready. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the board. All right. Should have some stable garbage. There's our stable garbage. First, let's do ROM. Let's go ROM. First, let's do bus. Bus is okay. We'll ROM at 0 to F, F, F. And I got my little cheat sheet here, all of the regions. Signature of 8B1A. So 8B1A, go. ROM error. Let's do a signature was 8005. Okay, well, let's continue. Let's do the next one at 1000 to 1FFF with a signature of 8859. 8859, go. And another error. Let's do more, and it's just telling us it's the wrong signature. Let's continue. ROM at 2000 to FFF with a signature 1934. Go. Starting to see a pattern here. Every ROM is failing. And of course that one fails too. So let's do the last one. A4B. And they all fail. More is okay. I'm going to do the test at 0 again. And it doesn't matter what I put in for a signature. I just want to see what it spits out. I think it was 8005 the first time. I want to see if it's the same thing or if it's random. More. It's the same thing. Let's run that test again. 8005. More. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So let's do a, out of curiosity, let's do RAM. Let's start with the RAM. Okay, read write error, bits 03, bits 07, bits 0B. Yeah, we definitely have a data problem. Something's going on. I'm gonna loop, just out of curiosity. I'm kind of wondering if it's in a socket or something. Oh, bad power supply. Bad power supply. Okay. Right. Yep, we got a data problem. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at the schematic, but we definitely have a data issue. I'm kind of wondering if it's the socket underneath my address and data controller, my little bus controller. I'm kind of wondering if it's the socket underneath that. Goodness. Alrighty, I'm gonna check out some things, look at the schematic, see where that data line, where the data's going. Something's not right. Could be a 367 bus. You know, it could be one of these guys. We'll find out. Well, I found the problem. If you look down there, and those are data lines. You got a couple data lines cut. I had to remove the socket, but I told you, these people were stealthy in the way that they cut these traces. That was right down at the base of that socket. So, yeah, I'm going to have to repair that and then put a new socket in. But that looks like data line. It's two data lines that are cut. So I will repair that. And this is the fix. You'll see I got a single strand of wire bridging that break on both of those, soldered to both sides of that trace. So I'm going to put a socket in it and we'll fire it up. Okay, got the new socket, new ROM in. So we're going to do, I already did a bus test. We're going to go ahead and test these ROMs again. So we're going to do a ROM 0 to FFF with a signature 8B1A. 8B1A. And let's see what happens. All right. Next, we're going to move on to the next one. ROM at 1000 to 1 FFF. Signature is 8859. 8859. Excellent. Next, ROM at 2000 to 2 FFF. Signature of 1934. Go. Alrighty, last one. A4B. A4B. Okay, great. We are good on all of the ROM. So let's go ahead and do some RAM checks. We'll do a RAM short at 4000 to 43 FF. Okay. Bits 0F are bad. That is the lower, no, the lower 4 bits. Took me a minute to, let's repeat. Okay, there's something on the lower 4 bits. You see the upper 4 bits are always clear. And it's random on the lower 4 bits. You know what I bet that is? I bet you that's this 245. That will be what I check. Because the RAM, everything other than this, I was looking at the schematic earlier, and the ROM, the addresses and all of the data lines are isolated only to the ROM. They don't go through any buffers at all to get to the ROM chips. Everything else they go through this right here at 245. But it's kind of curious that it's only the lower bits. So there might be something tied to the lower bits, like these RAM, maybe these 7489s. I've had those corrupt data lines before, and this is a 4-bit part. So one of these is the upper bit, one of these is the lower 4 bits. So one of these could very well be corrupting the lower 4 bits. That of course all goes through this guy. Being that it's only the lower 4 bits, I kind of doubt that it's this. I bet you it's one of these RAMs, the lower 4-bit RAM, corrupting the data line. I bet you that's what it is. But yeah, I will check this out. I'll hook up to it and I'll look at all the lines, but my guess is one of these RAMs is corrupting the data. Alrighty. Yeah. Alright, I went through and did some testing on the RAM and came up with this little chart. The lower the lower 4 bits, the C in that is where the problem is. And what it boils down to is the last 2 bits are stuck low in the data line. Of the 8 data bits, bits 0 and bit 1 is stuck low. So no matter what I put, let's try B. B will come back 8. So let's just write to 4000. Oops. Right to 4000. Let's just 0B. Okay. It says okay. Now B is right here. Those 2 ones will drop off and it'll say 08 when I read it back. So let's read at 4000. And it says 08. those last 2 bits are stuck low, and it's coming back 8. So I got to find out what's tied to data lines 0 and 1, and find out which ones are bad. So I really don't think it's these RAM, because it happens in all the regions. Every region. These make up an 8-bit, these make up an 8-bit, these make up an 8-bit. And I will have to look at the schematic to verify this, but I'm thinking this is like, say this is 4000 to 43 FF, this is 4400 to 47 FF, and this is 4C00 to 4FFF. I think that it's 2 chips per 8 bits. So I'm gonna look at the schematic, and I really believe it's one of these RAMs over here that's tied to the system, corrupting the data. That's what I really believe it is. But we'll see. I'm gonna look at the schematic a little bit, and I'm gonna just verify that these are separate ranges, if you will. You know, don't really know how to explain it, but yeah. So we'll figure it out. Alrighty. I'm having that RAM problem with the data bits 0 and 1 basically are always tied low, and since it's at every range, I believe it's at every range. I only tested 4000 now that I think about it on the Fluke, but I was trying every range. I was doing RAM checks at every range, and it was always the low bit. And now we know that the ranges activate different chips, and it's always the low bit. I'm going to replace that RAM right there, 3H. That's a 7489, and it has data bits 0, 1, 2, and 3 input into it. And I have seen it before where a bad RAM backfeeds and corrupts the data lines. I've seen it before, so I'm going to go ahead and just replace 3H. Okay, I'm back doing some testing. I pulled that RAM, the 7489. There's an empty socket. I don't even have it in there yet. I got a new 245 in there, even though it tested okay. My old one, I put a new one in anyway. Check it out. I am now passing. I'm going to repeat this test. You can see I'm going through the screen stuff. This video is not going to be quite right because I don't have that RAM in. Okay, let's check our next 44 to 47 FF. Looking good. It's working. That 7489 was corrupting the data, just as I've seen it before. Okay, and the last range, 4C00 to 4FFF. Okay. Great. Now here we go. You see that 0F? The low 4 bits are all bad. And we just went through this. 4C, 4FF. Okay. 4R and 4M. So it's either 4R or it's 4M. I'm not sure which one of these is the low bit and the high bit. I'll have to look at the schematic, find out which is high, which is low. So I'll take a look at the schematic and I'll be right back. Okay, looking here at the schematic, here is 4R and 4M, which is in question, and we're going for the low bit chip. Right there is video RAM data 0, 1, 2, and 3. 4M is our bad chip, because the Fluke said 0F, which means every bit is bad. And that guy right there, none of the bits are drivable, so that chip is completely blown out. So we'll replace 4M and we'll be good to go. Okay, I just put a new chip in 4M. And now it's good. That was 4M right here. That guy right there. So now all of our RAM is good. We're reading all of our RAM. Okay. Well, what's the next thing to do? Let's put all the 7489s back in the board. And let's see what our video looks like, because it should boot now. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the Fluke off of it and put the Z80 back in it and put the 7489 RAM in it. See what happens. Okay, I've got my 7489 RAMs back in it, and this is what I get. Some bobbly garbage. It's not watchdogging, I don't believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not watchdogging, which is good, and I've got to believe that the program is running. Because with the Fluke, we accessed all of the RAM and all of the ROM and RAM. This looks like, it looks to me like maybe these RAM are a problem. Character ROMs, are they being accessed right? Let's check pin 20 on these RAMs. They are being accessed. These are address lines. These are data lines. Four, 23, 22, 21, that's supposed to be high. And 19, those are supposed to be high. That's fine. 24, 23, 22. Pin 22 is high. Pin 22 is address line 9. Pin 22 should never just be high. 24, 23, 22. Now it's low. Was it low? What is going on with that? I think I still got some hackery on this board. Damn it. Alrighty, I'm going to have to, I got to go back over the board again. Address line 9 should be moving on that, so I'm going to have to go back through the board again, over the board, make sure there's got to be some more breaks somewhere, some more cuts. I might have to remove these two ROMs, sockets. I might have to pull them out and look at what's going on around them. They might have cut something right underneath them, who knows. Okay, we're getting there though. No longer watchdogging, we're getting somewhere and doing something. Okay, these are the character ROMs. You can see character address 0 through 10. And it's all derived from this circuitry right here. This latch, character address 9 is the one that was acting funny. And it is derived from the data bus, and it's latched into this 273 latch. And then it's clocked out, and it's supposed to go right into the character address bus. But you remember, address 9 wasn't really doing much of anything. I got to go through this circuitry right here. I'm going to start with that latch, and then I'll go through the exclusive OR gates. That'll be easy. The 174, there's another, that 174 right there, that'll be easy to check. The exclusive ORs are easy. This LS08's easy. Muxes are easy. 273, these 283s, those are hard to check. There's not really a good way. I guess I could put my probe on the carry-out pin, and I don't know, A1 and B1 and the sum, sum of 1. I don't know. This will be easy to check. That guy right there, the LS20. Actually, no, it won't be easy because I don't have 5 channels. But I figure as long as I got a good looking signal coming off of it, that'll be okay. It's those 283s. Those are hard to check. Everything else is easy. We'll figure it out. There's a 139 that is enabling these things. So that's easy. So that'll be the next thing, is to go through that circuitry right there. Just out of curiosity, I pulled the Fluke back out and I ran a RAM check, because I didn't run a RAM check since I put this color RAM back in, and it came up the same thing. I had an error. Well, this is a brand new RAM. And it said bits 08. Well, I put another RAM in there, and it's fine. Just for S's and G's, I want to try to I'm going to put this one back in there, because this was a brand new RAM. That pisses me off. Yeah, 08. This is a new RAM that's no good. That sucks. These things are like $4 a piece. Take it out, and we're back to good. So I'll put this one back in. Man, this thing really grabs these sockets. And that one's good. So, you know, go RAM 4000, 43 FF. That's a real bummer, though. This thing, yeah, okay. That's a real bummer. This was a brand new 7489 RAM chip. Huh. Well, I'm going to try running. Hey, it's working. I knew the program was running. And you know what we're going to do is we're going to figure out address bit 9 on these two graphics ROMs. That's the issue. And it's in free play. I don't know what the dip switches are. Left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, maybe. I don't know. Reset. I wish the Fluke had a reset thing. I'm just going to have to unplug it and plug it back in. Bear with me here. I just plugged it in, unplugged it and plugged it back in. Okay, I just had to cut out really quick. If you have a Fluke, don't ever do what I just did. I unplugged the board while the Fluke was running the board. Don't ever do that. Anyway, this is what I get. How weird is that? But it is close to being done. It's kind of a cool problem. Look at the ghosts. They're all weird. Pac-Man's not exactly going in the pattern correctly. This has been pretty fun. This has been a super messed up board set. And we are just about there. I know that I need to look at address 9 on these RAMs. Because I think it's a latch. I think that 273 latch is no good. I'm going to hook up my logic probe. And pin 22, 24, 23. Okay, now 22 is got it going. All right. Oops. Yeah, we got good activity, good action going on in address 9 now. We've just got other issues here. We've got other issues to look at. and it just reset. Yeah, something's really weird. I'm gonna look into what these do. Are these line buffers, I wonder? If these are line buffer RAM, it looks like I got lines going on through some stuff, maybe. It's just constantly resetting now, and that could be sockets, to be honest with you. The ghost's positions are incorrect. Pac-Man's position is incorrect. Huh. Sweet. Character data. I think I'm still going to go through. Yeah, see the power pellets? See those? You see the power pellet there? How it's got them lines through it. I think those 4 RAMs are line buffers. I think they are. So I think I have a bad RAM. And I should be able to just probe the output with my scope. And they're just 1-bit RAMs. I think the output is on pin 15. So I'm not going to do it tonight. But next time I work on this thing, I will check these RAM out and make sure what's coming out of them look good. And I'm going to look at the addressing for them. What is addressing those things? You know, I got these 283 counters, and that could be they're not counters, they're adders. And I bet that's got to do something with the positioning of all this stuff. Those 283s, like I said, there's really not a good, I don't know of a good way to test those, except for just look at the signals, make sure they look okay. And I mean, in theory, I guess I could put a probe on A1 and a probe on B1, and then put one on the sum of one, and if it's a 0 and a 0, it should be output 0. If it's a 0 and a 1, it should output a 1. If it's a 1 and a 1, it should output a 0, you know. Because it's adding, they're adders. It takes two binary numbers and adds them. You know, then you got to deal with the carry. You have to probe the carry in and all that junk. It's almost easier just to change them. I've got 283s. I should just change them. Everything else is easy to check. That to me screams RAM. I think it's got something to do with these RAM. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna call it a day on this thing. I'll get back to it maybe tomorrow or the next day. See you then. Well, I'm back out again, and as you can see, things have drastically improved. But I did bring the Fluke back out because I was getting, it was resetting and resetting and resetting, and I had another RAM blow out. I had to replace this one right here. So I have replaced these two right here. But remember how the ghosts were out of place and everything was goofy? I had this RAM right here, the new one that I put in. I had one of the legs was out of the socket. So I fixed that, and it fixed the the moving objects. So now I just got to find this problem. Okay, here's a little something I found. I still got this nonsense going on. I'm running it with the Fluke, and I've just been probing every pin of every chip because of all the hack work that was done. I'm not worried about what a signal looks like. I'm worried about finding something with no signal. And I found over here in this section, there's a handful of pads that have nothing going on. This goes over to here. There's nothing on this one. That one's okay. But there's two lines here that have nothing on them. I've been probing every through-hole pad, every pin of everything. You got to do that when this board was so hacked up that I just want to make sure that every pin, everything has a signal, whether it be high, whether it be low, pulsing. I don't care as long as there's something there. There should be something on these, and there's not. So I'm going to flip this board over. I'm going to see where those are going. See if we can find something here. Now these legs are so crusty. Jesus. There's nothing on that leg at all. If I'm breaking through the crust, I don't even know. I'm going to take a look at this. Okay, I'm over here looking at the board, and it's to do with their hack. Right here, they had soldered something to that. It goes to here. And I've checked continuity. There's no cuts in this. And then this one comes way over here, right here, and then goes up to here. And then this one is the other one that I had nothing on, no activity. It comes over here and goes up to this one. Or it's either one of these. But the thing is, the good thing is there's no cut traces there. But those lines were absolutely just dead. There's nothing going on out of this chip. So let's turn that over and see what that is. It's this one, which is a 194. 194, I think that's some kind of a I don't know exactly. It's like a 4-bit shift register or something like that. There should be some kind of activity coming out of that, and there's not. So I'm going to venture to say that that chip is dead, but I'm going to probe it with my oscilloscope just to look at it, because I think we found a bad chip. So let's look at this bad chip together. Okay, I've got the data sheet out for the 194, and it is a 4-bit bidirectional shift register. I've already probed pin 1, and it's tied high, so it's not going to clear. But the interesting thing is, we have two lines that are dead, and they're inputs. Pin 4 and pin 6 have nothing going to them. So I'm going to have to trace back what is inputting on these. So it looks like we don't have a bad chip. We're missing two inputs. So I'm going to trace back and find out where these inputs are coming from. Well, I've found out what's going on. These people that hacked this board did not want you to know that they hacked this board. Besides all of the obvious ROMs on top of ROMs and all that other nonsense. I don't know if you can see this, but can you see the two traces that are cut right underneath the socket? Right here and right here. There's two cuts in there. I'm going to have to pull this socket up and fix those traces, just like I did underneath this socket. Right there. So hopefully that's the last two cuts. Let me take care of that. Okay, the two traces are fixed. You can see it's just, once again, it's a single strand of wire soldered onto the trace, and then it's just stuck down through the hole. And I'll put the socket in there and solder it. That'll make the connection. And you can see there's my two strands of wire coming through. It's just a single strand of wire, of a piece of a stranded wire. It's just one of the single strands. Okay, now it is moment of truth time. I just put the ROM back in the socket. So let's plug it in. Come on. Okay. What do you think? Gonna work? There you go. Does it look right? Yeah, it looks right to me. I saw a little flakiness, and it's bobbling a little bit. There's some flakiness, like right here. There is a touch of flakiness to this yet. So we're going to have to deal with that. But let's see if the sound is doing anything. Okay, what are we doing? Hey! It's not quite right. Let's listen to that again. That was not quite right. Okay. All right, ready? No, that's not right. So we got a sound issue. The tone's off. The pitch is a little off. And then we got these little flakies in the screen. Yeah, the tone's a little off, the pitch to the sound. You know what, I wonder if these hackers burnt new ROMs. I wonder if they burnt new proms and put in here for their hack. Well, that's the first thing I'll check, is I'll I'll check the ROMs, because I don't want to be chasing after signals when it's just ROMs. It's weird because the sound is right, but the pitch is off. Interesting. You know, I wonder if any of these two 7489s, I hope they're both good. Remember I had the bad one? Boy, is that stupid. I'm going to start with these ROMs, though. I'm going to suspect those first. 'Cause I don't know what this hack was. I think it was Miss Pac-Man, which would use the same ROMs. But I don't know for sure. So I want to verify those. And I got to track down the little flakies. I don't know. I'm not seeing it now. I see bobble every now and again. It was bobbling. The position of the screen is just default from the RGB board, and I'm not messing with it. You know, maybe it'll last longer if I don't mess with it. I don't know. But I see like a bobble every now. It was bobbling. So I'm going to scrutinize the horizontal and vertical addressing counters. That's these 4 chips right here, and associated circuitry. I think it's a couple of these and this. It's all right here basically. So I will probe that really good and look at those count signals. That usually will cause that bobble when the screen bobbles. So yeah, I'm not ready to call this one done, but it sure is close, ain't it? Well, I'm just here messing around with the sound. You know, I'm going through some of the sound stuff. And what's going on with this board is as it heats up, the little sparklies show up. So something is getting hot and flaking out. I've been concentrating on the sound a little bit, and what I've been doing is going through and checking some of the clock frequencies, what they should be, and I haven't found anything weird. But the more I think about this, the sound is correct. It's just the pitch that's off. And that's kind of telling me that my data is all good. All of the lines are right because the sound is correct. That's why I was checking my clocks to make sure that everything is being clocked properly. And I haven't found anything weird with the clocks. So what I'm moving on to is up here in this section. The op amp uses a tantalum cap, and then it's got some other capacitors here. In the tantalum cap is used in the negative feedback loop of one of the op amps, one of the gates in the op amp. And I've seen tantalum caps shorted out before. So I think a good place to start with this sound issue is to recap this section, all of the capacitors, even the tantalum caps and everything. So that's where I'm going to start with that. Mylar caps I've never really seen. I mean, I've seen them blow out and short every now and again, but tantalum caps are pretty solid. Or not tantalum, but the Mylar caps. Those are pretty solid. I rarely see those go bad. But tantalum caps, short all the time. It's pretty ridiculous how often they short out. So I'm going to replace that stuff. because that would definitely affect the pitch. If that tantalum cap blew out, it would affect the pitch. So I think that's where I'm going to start with that. I'm going to work on the sound, get the sound right, and then I'll find the sparkly problem. It's just a chip that's heating up and overheating and freaking out. It's probably a mux or something like that. Alrighty. Next time I get my desoldering gun out, I'm replacing this 259. I just can't stand looking at that thing anymore. Look at the legs. I don't care if it works. That is a disgusting looking chip. That thing's getting replaced. Alright, I've gone through and done a little maintenance on this board. I pulled all these chips due to just nasty, crusty legs. Like I said, these parts, generally, I mean, like a 283, I'm not going to just pull and replace a 283 because they're a couple bucks. But all of these are under $1 a piece. And they look nasty, so why not? I did, I did two 174s. This one here, I believe, is a 157. And then there's a 157, I think, right here, and a couple 194s. Those 194s look nasty. There's a 139. There's actually two 139s. There's one here and one up here. And then that 259. And then I pulled, I don't have these caps, so I'm leaving these in for now. But I pulled all the other caps I pulled. Plus I pulled the caps in the sound section right there. I'm just gonna test those with my meter and make sure they're good. And if they're good, I'm gonna put them right back in the board. But I'm gonna replace all the electrolytics except for the ones I don't have. So yeah, just maintenance, little chip renewal. It's not gonna hurt, so why not? Okay. I just replaced all those chips that I pulled, and it's still got the sparklies. You'll see. Maybe you'll see. Where are you going, Pac-man? Watch here. See that little red sparkle? I mean, it's not much, but it's enough to bug me. And the sound still seems a little off pitch. So I still got some things to do. You know what I haven't done that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the remaining sockets that I haven't replaced. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'm going to go ahead and replace all those sockets. I got the caps in. I didn't have a 330 microfarad cap, so I kind of made a cap cluster here. It equals up to 330, so yeah. I got all the chips that I replaced in, these three. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and I think that's it. Yep. No, the good thing is I've eliminated a lot of possibilities for problems by getting rid of nasty leg chips. Alrighty, well, doing some socket replacement. The CPU and the addressor chips and the rest of the ROMs. Okay, I have replaced all of the sockets, the ROM sockets, the CPU socket, and both addressor sockets. I swapped the VRAM addressor with my other one because I just wanted to eliminate that as a problem with the sparklies. And it does still have the sparklies, but that's one less thing to worry about with the sockets. Nice new sockets on there. But it does still have that little sparkly. The only time I really see it is when the fruit shows up in the middle by game over. You'll see it's still got that little sparkly. See it? It's really not that big of a deal, but it sure would be nice to eliminate it. Anyway. Okay. Alrighty, I'm probing a 283 adder. If I sound a little funny, I just had some dental work done and I'm all numb, so just bear with me. I don't really have a good way of testing a 283 except for just looking, making sure the signals are good. And I can I don't know what's happening to the bit prior, if there's a carry. But I can kind of say a 1 and a 0 is a 1, a 1 and a 0 is a 1, 0 and 0 is a 0. This is where there has to be a carry or something from the previous bit. Because a 1 and a 1, that should be 2, which would be 0. Yeah, this isn't a good way to do this. But you got a 0 and a 1. That should be a 1, unless there was a carry. See, I'm just basically, do the signals look okay? You know, there's no real good way to test these. Unless you have a logic analyzer. And I don't. So, see, a 1 and a 1 is a 2, which is a 0. And then the 1 carries to the next bit. See, in this case, this has to have a 1 carried over from the previous bit. 1, 1, and 1 is 3. And then that would have a carry to the next bit. There's not really a good way to test these like this. But this adder, I think this adder is okay. The signals look good, so I'm going to move on. Something interesting. I'm probing a 158. It's a mux with inverted output. And you can see here, there's this line right here, the light blue, that's data line. That's a data line, input. There's a lot of noise on that line. And this thing is reading it false. When both of those are low, see they're low right here, low and low. This should be pegged high. And it's pulsing. I don't know if this is reading this as a low, but that is not right. Whenever these are both low, this should just be stuck high. In contrast, I'll show you, right next to it is a 157, which is the same chip, but it has non-inverting output. So we'll go ahead and switch over to that one. And I got to re-hook up the output as it came off. Here, perfect example. Actually, no, it's not. Let me get something where they're both either both high or both low. Right here. They're both low. And the clock is pulsing, but while it's pulsing, while they're both low, remember this is non-inverting. So it's stuck low. Okay? That's how it's supposed to work. Now, one of them is low and one of them is high. While it's pulsing, it's following the clock, pulsing. Here they're both low for a few pulses and it's stuck low. Here, this one is pulsing, this one is low, so it's just going to follow that, basically. You got a high and a high, so it's going to be stuck high. Here you have a high and a low, so it'll pulse. it'll follow the clock if they're opposite, which it does. Here you have a low and a low, and for multiple pulses here, you're stuck low. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now this is a 158, which is basically the same exact chip, but it's just an inverting output. And you can see all this noise. That's low, and my probe just came off again. But that's low and that's low. This should be, it would be low, but it's an inverting output. So it should be stuck high, yet it's pulsing. That is not correct. Now, I don't know if it's the chip or if it's this noise that's on data line. If it's this noise that's on data, I might have to go through and replace all these 367s because I don't know which one is corrupting the data. They're all tied to data lines. I believe these two 367s buffer the address. I'm not sure about that though. I'd have to check, but I do believe these are address buffers. Because there's six buffers in each chip, so that's 12 buffers. I believe these buffer the address bits. But I need to clean that up. I don't know. I mean, I can replace that 158, but I might get this. Maybe the 158 is back feeding. I don't know. But yeah, that's incorrect. That should be stuck high right there on this 158. So I think I will replace the 158 just to see if it's that. But I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's something stuck on the data lines. Is making that noise there or something. I'm gonna have to figure that out. And I think that's the source of my sound being funky, because the data inputs there's data inputs in this circuitry for the sound. So who knows? Okay, I'm gonna get to that. I'll replace the 158, and if I'm looking at the same thing here, which I probably will be, then I'm going to have to go through the 367s, because they're really the only thing that is tied to the data lines, other than this 245, which I've already replaced. So, and I'll look over the schematic a little bit better to make sure to really hone in and see what is tied to the data lines, causing that noise right there. That's a little, I don't like that. It should be like that purple line, low. So we'll figure it out. Okay, I have replaced the 158 that was in question, and you can see now where it was pulsing down here, the output. Now it's staying high when they're both low. When the selector, the select line is selecting 1 and then selecting 0 over and over and over. So it's basically just selecting between the top and the blue and pink line, and when it's low it should stay high because it's an inverting output. So that is now working correctly. So I think what we're going to see is, I think the sound is going to work perfect now. Let's check it out. And we're going to start. Let's turn it up a little bit. Let's restart it. Restart it because I turned the volume down instead of up. Okay. It still doesn't sound quite right, does it? I just really quickly loaded Pac-Man up in MAME and listened to the jingles. I think I'm just too used to hearing it when it's not correct. I think it sounds perfect. Yeah. And the siren sounds right to me now too. I think I was just too used to it not sounding right. Yeah, I'm happy with this sound. All right, cool. Now the only thing left is the little sparkly and the stationary objects, basically. So I'll check that out, but it's looking good. It's almost done. Well, I figured out what's with the sparklies. It was a bad ROM that I just, one of the ROMs I just burnt must just be a bad ROM chip. But I swapped it for a different ROM, and the sparklies are gone. I'll kind of zoom in on the cherry in the middle, and you'll see there's no sparklies with this new ROM. No sparkles. And then you remember the little red spot when he dies over in this corner. I'll show you that. There's no red spot anymore. You gotta wait for Pac-Man to get caught. He's coming around. And here he's going to get caught. No sparkle. There's this ROM right here. So this one is garbage. It's just bad internally. So I'll have to burn a new one and trash that. And this board is done, complete. Long repair, a lot of hacking that had to be fixed. But this is a nice board. It's a lot of new parts. I went through and just maintenance, changed a bunch of junk. Let's see. That's new. New. New RAMs. That I believe is new. Yup, remember that was bad. New RAM. That's new. These three are new. That's new. A new 42. New 39. This is new 259. These four 367s are new. I replaced those trying to find the funky waves on the data lines, but that's normal apparently. All the sockets are new. New caps other than these. So yeah, this has had a lot of work done to it, and I think I'm going to keep this one. So yeah, thanks for watching.